It's time for us to move on to the second entry in the Touryuumon series of board game adaptations, Shogi Touryuumon. It was developed and published by Sammy and released on October 28, 1999. I mentioned previously on the episode about Mahjong Touryuumon that if Mahjong is the Japanese analog to poker, then Shogi would be the Japanese analog to chess. However, there are far more similarities between chess and Shogi than there are between poker and Mahjong. It's theorized that a lot of the world's chess variants come from the 6th century Indian game of Chaturanga. The exact rules of that game aren't known, but what's been extrapolated by researchers is remarkably similar to chess, with 2 pieces being early pieces of the queen and bishop, and the rest of pieces playing more or less like modern chess. The earliest archaeological evidence of Shogi dates back to the year 1058, and the game's rules gradually evolved into its current form around the 16th century. Each player in Shogi gets a set of 20 wedge-shaped pieces, 1 king, 1 rook, 1 bishop, 2 gold generals, 2 silver generals, 2 knights, 2 lances, and 9 pawns. Unlike in chess where players' pieces are distinguished from each other by color, the shape of shogi pieces allow you to tell them apart by the way they're facing, and are otherwise indistinguishable from each other. The exception to this is the king, where the higher ranked player or reigning champion will have a king piece indicating their status, and the challenger has a different king piece. Then there's the flip side of the pieces. Chess has a promotion rule which allows a pawn that reached the 8th rank to be traded in for a more powerful piece, such as a queen, knight, rook, or bishop. Shogi has a similar mechanic, where entering an opponent's promotion zone allows you to promote any piece aside from the king or gold general by flipping the piece over, revealing its promoted inscription. Lesser pieces such as the knight, rook, pawn, and silver general can move like a gold general when promoted, and the rook and bishop simply gain all of the legal moves a king can make in addition to their existing legal moves. Another unique mechanic in Shogi is drops. Pieces you captured from your opponent can be brought back into play unpromoted and under your control by placing it on any empty square on your turn. Note that this is your complete turn. You sacrifice your right to move any other piece that turn, and you can't move the piece you dropped on the same turn it was brought back into play. Much like how Mahjong Touryuumon was a totally nondescript Mahjong game that would give us a baseline to compare other more interesting Mahjong games with, the same thing is happening here with Shogi Touryuumon. The presentation is slightly better than Mahjong Touryuumon's, but still lacking any personality of its own. There's also a small reference section with screenfuls of tips on shogi strategy, but these are unlikely to be of any help to you if you're struggling with the basics of the game, and you'll need to know the shogi lingo in Japanese as well. I played a lot of chess back in elementary school, as it was a required part of English school's math curriculum at the time, but I was never good at it. I could do okay on paper when teachers gave us situations to work ourselves out of, but I could never translate that into any kind of meaningful ability on a physical chessboard. Unfortunately, this has followed me to the land of shogi, where I continue to lose repeatedly whenever I give a shot. So I'm going to cut this video short before I embarrass myself further with some horrible shogi moves. Shogi is a great game if you've got the right mind for it, and if you do, Shogi Touryuumon is a perfectly serviceable game, but not one with any kind of standout features. There's only one other shogi game on WonderSwan, Morita Shogi, which we will get to in the end of 1999, and that one has a far more interesting story, but that's a different story for a different day.